Welcome to episode 3 of the Employees of the Month. And I'm Gary, the AKA the redneck with internet connection. And this is my co host, Snellinator, AKA guy that I found on the side of the road.
Yup.
And then this week we are reviewing The Firm. The Firm is a 1993 drama thriller mystery. It is very, very long. And we have different opinions. The employees of the month had some pretty controversial opinions, differing opinions, and as me and my co-host here also have different opinions, and so I kind of like the movie. I think it's pretty good. Snellinator, how about you give us your general thoughts on the movie?
I thought it was kind of boring, honestly. It was too slow.
That is a pretty common problem that I have seen. But let's go ahead and jump straight into the reviews. We have a couple people who've already reviewed it before us. Um, Cringe Factor gave it a 50%, but hey, no additional comment. Ninja Waiter gave it 79% with no additional content, but Ninja Waiter is very hard to please sometimes. Um,
So I hear.
Alex, Alex Air Cave gave it an 82%. And he just says he thinks it's gonna be slow, but it kicks into suspense thriller and it sucks you in. And then Bandy Green Sacks says 77, and conspiracy thriller material here. And then Dragon Dan gave it 80% with no additional comment as well. So the first review is Bob Rogers, who's usually the first to review things, and I am gonna play his video here.
So you are saying we are all criminals that already are in jail, but we just don't know it? But we are lawyers. There must be something we can do? No, I'm sorry. Lord Xenu just can't be reasoned with. Did somebody say my name? Shut up, John. Go back into your closet.
And of course, that's a stab at the weirdos in the Scientology cult. This video is probably going to get deleted because I'm making fun of Scientology, but who cares? So Bob Rogers, of course, he did not vote for this movie. This is actually the first movie we've had the new voting system. He says, glad I didn't vote for this. Sidney Pollack's The Firm, based on a novel by John Grisham, is one of those answers to the question, how did we get here? I never liked it. Not when it came out, not now. It's technically a good movie, but it always smelled funny. To rip off the Band-Aid, Sidney Pollack always was a proud liberal Democrat. He described himself as politically active as a supporter and fundraiser, helping candidates with speeches and presentations. He did everything but running for office himself. He was viewed in Hollywood by the critics as a classical liberal filmmaker, pragmatic and commercially successful, with films often reflecting socio-political themes, government overreach, anti-corporate sentiment, social issues from a left-leaning perspective. So it may not surprise you that The Firm also has all the hallmarks of liberal storytelling. Of course, all the conservative states and its inhabitants are evil and corrupt, and only the Democrat cities and states are civilized. The more of these old movies I rewatch, excuse me, the more I become aware of how this gaslit global opinion. Don't worry, it is basically all we ever got. Or don't forget, it is basically all we ever got to see about these parts of the United States and Europe. And now we know where it led. I can't help but think it is not Hollywood that changed over the last decennia. That they just lost control over the narrative, with the world getting to what it's actually just getting to see what's actually going on and collectively pressing X to doubt. They were the evil ones all along, and that's just the politics. And I'm not going to. I'm trying to remember where his Scientology stuff was, because I'm not going to read that. I don't want to get demonetized. Okay, yeah. So Movie itself brilliant, right? No, it's a snore fest, and that's easily 90 minutes too long. There's so much filler, it's not even funny anymore. My only regret for 1.5 speeding this movie was the blink and you miss it guest appearance of Gary Busey. You know how much trouble you're getting in. You know how much trouble you're in when he's the highlight of your movie. True, they have other great cast standing around. Why not give them something to do? Were they only there for the trailer? Yeah, this movie makes me mad. This used to be Hollywood. Not much has changed, but I have, and I'm not having it anymore. Fool me once. I'm going to land on a highly bogus 39. The only reason it's not lower is because all of the AAA movie. This was a AAA movie once, but trust me, I am tempted. I can see where he's coming from. I noticed the political stuff, but it's lawyers, and lawyers are kind of got a reputation for being evil no matter where they're from. So I tend
their job is literally to lie, so it makes sense.
I tend to give this movie a break, but it's definitely there, they were probably almost certainly trying to push a narrative, but so he is 100% right. I just didn't really see it as big of a problem as he did per se, but he says that it's 90-minute snooze fest. I know that you agree with that. I don't know. I mean, to me, it kind of held my attention pretty well. What about you?
It held my attention for about the first 40 minutes, and then after that, I started to lose interest. And about the hour mark, I wasn't interested. But I forced myself to finish it.
I told him I'm going to give him another chance. So, Bob, if you're watching this, you're going to be my next magistrate in the next vote, and I'm going to punish for the users and Rev Ramey. I'm still not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry, man. I'm going to punish you too. You're going to get demoted, and Bob's going to get to vote again. Next is For the Users, a review that I actually really agree with. She put a great song, by the way. It's a good song. Go listen to it. She says, somehow I've never heard of this. Despite its majorly stacked cast, you've got Tom Cruise, Gene Hackman, Holly Hunter, Ed Harris, and Wilford Brimley, all in one movie, and everyone, including the actors, I wasn't familiar with, giving it their all.
I don't even know if I would consider that a loaded cast. I've heard of maybe two of those actors.
You're retarded. Gene Hackman, Holly Hunter, Ed Harris, William Brimley, Wilford Brimley. Oh my gosh. Well, you need to go watch more movies.
I ain't interested.
This is also really.
I'm just waiting on Blaine to add video game reviews.
A lot of people are. A lot of people are also waiting on the music reviews and book reviews as well.
Oh, my music reviews will be harsh.
I Miss Good Movies actually started an album review group. If you want to, we'll go look at it real quick, and then we'll go back to what we were talking about. Yeah, I Miss Good Movies has an album review group, and I actually haven't read these ones yet because I haven't been very active lately, but. MPSW Atla MJ fan has been doing all of MJ's albums, and he's been hard at work. I'm gonna be honest. He's been hard at work, and then the fatherless child in black he's been doing some good ones as well. This one's a little short, but he's been writing some beast reviews, like long beast reviews. So shout out to some of them, but. We'll get back to the movie.
I probably shouldn't review music because most of why I would be hating on it would have to do with Christian values, and most people don't want to hear about that. So,
well, it's your opinion. Anyway, I forgot. All right, so where were we at? All right. It's also a real snazzy jazz piano score, which I was not expecting, but gives this movie a unique feel. It's very slow at times It didn't have to be 2.5 hours, but overall, I'd say it was a well-crafted movie. There are no good guys, only lawyers and FBI, which is the correct way to make a mystery thriller, by the way. The FBI and the government should be the bad guys in these movies. There should be no good guys. I'm just going to say that for sure. Definitely agree it is well crafted, but it also didn't have to be 2.5 hours. Tom Cruise is, of course, the protagonist, but he does some awful things throughout this movie. Tell me about it. Not that anyone else is better, of course, especially maybe his wife, who's dumb since she went back to him at the end. Exactly. All the other lawyers are scumbags, and the FBI is, well, the FBI. There's not really anyone you want to root for, but the movie gives you an exciting enough web of compelling plans to keep you invested. The firm is doing criminal things for the mafia. The FBI is using its manipulation tactics to try and get Tom Cruise to turn over evidence of the crime. Tom Cruise is caught in the middle, not wanting to break his confidentiality oath, but also wanting to take down the firm. At least that's the second half. Like I said, this movie is long. First half just sets up and it's just set it all up and could have been trimmed down a whole lot. Once it gets going, though, it's pretty good. It does the Ocean's 11 thing where it reveals that real plan at the end, but not as well. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. I still ended up pretty confused, I think, because even the second half had a lot of bloat, so it became hard to keep track of everything that was going on and why. And also, it was hard to keep up with because of the unnecessary twists as well.
Oh yeah.
Like Abby having to go to the island, like that whole thing could have been avoided. That didn't have to happen. You just added a little extra to it, and that being said, the performances are great, and it's a solid movie overall. I don't regret voting for this for the employees of the week, or for the employees this week. I hope the rest of you, except Bob Rogers, who's already made his feelings clear, don't regret it either. And no, I don't regret it. I am glad that it is the movie that we watched, but we definitely could have had a better movie. And also, I'm sorry, I miss good movies. You said when I get around to writing this review, probably tomorrow. Well, this is tomorrow, and you still don't have a review out, so I'm sorry, but you missed the cutoff. I'm sorry, buddy. And then next up, we got Rev Ramey. Gave it a 64%, which I do think is fair. That is more fair. That is fair. I'll take that. And he has a very long review, which I don't think we're going to read all of, mainly because he just said everything that I said, but he said it much better, much more eloquently. And so it will be, I'm just going to kind of say some stuff here and then say some stuff in mine and kind of make it meet. Excuse me. So the firm feels like it came oh my gosh, let me start over. The firm feels like it comes from the production tendencies of 50s, where literally every crime novel would have its film rights scooped up the second they're released for adaptation within a couple of years. John Grisham's The Firm got the same treatment in the mindset of the Grisham mania of the 90s, in which a bunch of his books got mostly well-received film adaptations. The movie boasts an impressive cast, peppered in a bunch of different roles in the movie, from Gene Hackman playing the protagonist's mentor to Tobin Bell and Dean Morris playing a pair of unarmed mafia hitmen. I didn't even mention them in my review, but they were really good. But of course, the star of the show is Tom Cruise as Mitch McDeere, a young lawyer fresh out of Harvard who gets hired by a firm in Memphis, Tennessee. He gets wooed by the high life and luxuries the employees enjoy. But two of his coworkers mysteriously die. He comes to realize the darker side to his employers, forcing them into a situation where he must choose between the firm, the FBI, and his own career. While not the best Tom Cruise performance I've seen, he certainly turns in what is a more underrated one, playing the increasingly paranoid and desperation pretty well. Playing the increasing paranoia and desperation pretty well, as McDeere gets sucked further and further into what the firm truly does. Through this, McDeere becomes easy to root for as he tries to find a way through this situation and make that plan work while wrestling with his increasingly strained marriage and dangerous men breathing down his neck. The way the plan coalesces is pretty clever in how McDeere uses his knowledge of the law along with a PI friend to exploit the FBI agent overreaching some of his authority, free his brother from a Little Rock prison, yay, Arkansas mentioned, bring down the firm, and keep himself and the marriage alive. The plan, while a little complex, plays out in an understandable way that works upon scrutiny. See, like that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I agree with everything he says in that paragraph. He just said it way better than I did. Now, technically, the bad guys at the top sort of get away scot-free, but the actual active antagonists of the movie do get their just desserts. While the seeds for the guys in charge downfall are sown, the primary conflict is solved by the conclusion, which allows it to feel satisfying. And then, of course, he goes into stuff about the actors, which I think everybody mentioned. They turn in great performances. I wanted to point this out. For some reason, Holly Hunter was the only member of the cast to receive an Oscar nomination. That's not to say she's bad. She's quite good, but I can name at least 5 co-stars that deserve the nomination more than her, but I digress. 100% agree. The movie thrives in its tension. Sidney Pollack really knows how to shoot things simply, yet effectively to pull his audience to of their seats. He doesn't quite have the flair or style to make the movie's visual language too memorable, with basic edits and shots to plainly lay out what's going on, apart from the exceedingly tense chase in the climax. And I 100% agree with everything. He also points out that there are plenty of conveniences towards the end, which I also noticed and point out in my review.
I noticed that too. But I will admit some of the chase scenes were pretty good.
I really liked the action set pieces. It was the convenience, though, the convenience of how they happened really threw me off. I disagree. The only thing that I disagree is the corny and goofy. I thought that it was adequately corny when it needed to be, and then when it needed to be serious, it was serious. I think tonally it does take some wild shifts, but I think they're placed in good spots. The piano, though, while the piano did make it feel a little whimsy at the beginning, it did kind of set you up in a mindset and then completely 360 you. So I will give him that. But I thought it was fine. That's the only thing I disagree with in his review.
I'm going to agree with him on the piano part. It seemed like throughout almost the entire movie, that was all you heard was just a piano playing.
I really liked it. I think
it kind of got annoying after a little bit.
Full users agree. I will say they probably should have stopped using it earlier because, again, they were still using it pretty well into when the suspense and the danger had picked up, and it did kind of throw it off a little bit. But I kind of thought it was okay. But I said, there's nothing. Here's what I was meaning. I said, there's nothing I can really add. You said everything I said in my review, but more in depth and eloquently. Even now to mention the actors' performances and conveniences of the plot. And of course, I mentioned how shocking it is that Holly Hunter and to be completely honest with you, Janine Triplehorn and Gene Hackman really were the best actors in this movie. And Gene Hackman really deserved at least a nomination for this movie. And I'll die on that hill. And let's get to your review. 40%. For a Tom Cruise movie, this was extremely boring. The pacing was so slow that by the time the action actually picked up, I had already lost interest. Not to mention the fact that the movie was way too long as is. Plot makes sense, and it think it was okay.
It's supposed to say, and I think.
Retard. But when half the movie is just a bunch of montages, it makes it even more boring than it already was. Unless you love movies about the law, I wouldn't recommend. And for the users, I'm sorry I fudged up, guys.
I didn't say. Oh, I didn't even like that. I didn't even see that.
Yeah. No, I'm not actually mad at anybody. I know I joked and said I was going to punish them for voting for this, but I am glad that they voted for it. I probably am. I got to be honest. If I can get some free time and it doesn't leave Tubi, I'm going to go watch the other movie. I don't remember what it was, but I'm going to go watch it too. But I'm gonna give somebody else a chance to vote next week. I'm not sure who. Bob Rogers, I'm gonna give you another chance if you're listening. Now my review, I actually kept it fairly short this time. I know it's not short, but it's for me it's short. Based on John Grissom's 1991 novel of the same name, The Firm, is a suspenseful mystery thriller directed by Sidney Pollack. We follow a young Harvard law graduate who takes a job at a well-paying Memphis law firm. He soon learns, however, that it's involved in money laundering for the mafia. Stuck between threats from the FBI and the firm itself, he must play games with both sides to figure out a safe way out for himself and his wife. Coming in at 2 hours and 34 minutes long, this movie is a slow-burning beast, with a pace being so slow you can really tell it's based on a book. I don't think it's necessarily a problem, though. I don't think it's necessarily a problem, though it could have been handled better. The first hour really drags. It did keep me interested, but I wasn't invested. However, after the big reveal at said 1 hour mark, I was hooked. I planned on watching the movie in 2 separate sittings due to its length. However, I wound up watching it all at once. And I told you that because I started it really late. And then I told you the next day, I was like, yeah, I was up to 1:30.
Yeah, I remember.
The movie is well paced. It's well shot. I mean, not well paced. I was about to say, why did I say that? That's not true. The movie is well produced. It's well shot. The music is great. The acting is phenomenal. We're talking about a cast as Tom Cruise's leading man, acting beside Gene Hackman, Holly Hunter. We already named all these. Even the ones I didn't mention turned in fantastic performances. At no point throughout the viewing did I think about the fact that I was watching actors portraying characters. They were simply just the characters. I really like how no one is the good guy. A movie like this shouldn't have any good guys. Everyone should be after the protagonist. It also portrays the FBI as bad guys, and I'm always okay with portraying the government as bad guys because they are.
It's true.
I would really love to give this movie an 84. It's incredibly entertaining. The story is intertwined in a way that it keeps your attention, and it all culminates without dragging the climax out too long. That first hour, as well as some other problems I'll address in this next section, keep me from rating it keep me from rating it that high. It's a real shame too, because I really enjoyed this movie. I had a fantastic time, but I just can't ignore these problems. And here's what I mean. I don't particularly like that he cheats on his wife, nor that she lets him think she cheated on him. The movie tries to excuse this by saying the firm intentionally tried to seduce him. But you still have free will. Exactly. You still have free will.
It's not that hard not to cheat on your spouse. I mean, think of how many couples are like elderly couples that have been together 60, 70 years. It is not that hard.
I agree.
That made me so mad. You probably remember.
Yeah, you told me. I said, how are you liking the movie so far? And you said, I'm bored, and he cheated on his wife, and it's making me mad. But yeah, and you can still choose not to cheat. I honestly feel like this movie would have been better if they were working together as partners, as the backbone of the characterization is their marriage. Since it's based on a book, I can't really fault the movie for it too much, as it was just trying to be faithful, I suppose. And here's really the crux of the problem. And this was controversial. 4 of the users agreed with me. Rev Ramey disagreed with me. And I get what Rev Ramey was saying. Narratively, I get it. But it felt like a plot device. It felt so unnecessary. I get the purpose. But you could have done so much more. I get the purpose of like, this is showing just the lengths that the firm will go and all these things. And I get the fact that they needed the split to be taking place in order to get her out of the picture and give her, but like there's so many other alternatives you could have used besides cheating, because now the problem you've set up is you've characterized them as being madly in love with each other. She doesn't care about the money. And now all of a sudden he's cheating because he finds this other woman says something about not caring about the money, right? Well, first of all, how did the firm know that was what his thing was? And how did they know that to seduce, to get her to seduce him, for one? And then for two, how does somebody just agreeing with you on one thing make you all of a sudden want to cheat on your wife, who you've presumably been married to for a couple years, dated for a couple years, and have decided to spend the rest of your life with? Are you telling me that you have so little in common with your wife that the first time a woman walks up and says, "Oh, it's I was poor. I know what it's like to be poor," that you're gonna throw it all away? That's
Or
stupid.
so little self-control.
Yeah, that too. And I get that he was like having a hard time, whatever. He had discovered those things, and the sorry, voice crack, my throat's dropped. He just discovered those documents. Um, but it's still that's still no excuse.
Nope.
You still have free will, and you've characterized these characters as being madly in love with each other, and you've characterized the wife Abby as just wanting him to be around and be present. She doesn't care about the money, and I really thought that they were going to take a route where Abby or where Tom Cruise's character was going to realize that she was right. It's not about the money, and he was going to throw away his law degree and all this stuff in favor of keeping his marriage and all these things. Um, and it was going to be so much more depressing because of how good of a lawyer he was. And then he cheated on her, and it threw it all away. And I was like, this is just dumb.
Yep.
I was so like I was really digging the direction I thought it was going, and then it all just messed it up. Like I said, if they would have went in that direction, I could have given it an 88, possibly 84, 88, somewhere in that range. But I just can't overlook it. It does have a little bit too much convenience for my liking. For instance, the person seeing Mitch at the museum, and then the would-be assassin getting on the opposite tram and seeing him, or the note rolling under the printer. How about and then him moving the printer and seeing at the perfect time, and then waving off the connection between the private investigator and Mitch. I mean, come on, man. They even they literally said, "What if it's a family member, a brother?" And he says, "Well, wouldn't you want to lie about that to get this job?" So they literally realize it's his brother, and they realize he went and seen the private investigator. And the private investigator was looking around into them. It's like the most glaringly obvious red flag that you should be like, hey, he's working with the FBI. He's trying to figure stuff out about us. And they just wave it off.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me.
And then the jumps in logic. For example, Abby using the phone at the hotel. Like, they bugged your house. Clearly, the hotel is bugged. And then Mitch and Abby's reunion is super clunky. I understand the sentiment. You know, she realized she loves him. Now he's in danger. But that's not a good enough excuse. That's not a good enough excuse. He went on one business trip and cheated on you. That's not a good enough excuse.
Nope.
Her line about you kept your promise, that's complete bullcrap. Complete nonsense. That has nothing. The events of the climax have nothing to do with keeping his promise. I mean, that literally makes me so mad, that part of the movie. And then she says, how could you lose me? He cheated on you. He went on one business trip and cheated on you. And here's the thing. To Rev Ramey's credit, again, he is right. I know that I'm piling on. He is right. He says the cheating felt purposeful to manipulate McDear. One of the main arguments he had with his wife was about he's so rich and the concept of losing her money doesn't bother her while he's had to claw his way out of poverty. So the idea of slipping back in frightens him. He manages to resist a woman hitting on him, but the other woman mentions the idea of poverty. That's what draws him into a lapse of judgment. It's still clearly not excusable, but I think the movie was able to set it up well while also showing how the firm can press all the right buttons to manipulate him. They definitely needed to put more work on the back end to more properly reconcile McDear and his wife's relationship. He is 100% right. I want to preface that he is exactly 100% right. But I just don't agree. There's so many other ways they could have done it, and also I just don't. Okay, actually, I just realized his house was bugged. That's how they knew that's what the argument was. Never mind. So, but I still don't like it. There were a lot of other ways they could have gone about it. His lapse of judgment. I mean, I get that that's like the one problem he had with his wife, but I still just don't like it. There are many other things they could have done to blackmail him besides him cheating on his wife. I just don't like that. Also, only two genders. I don't know what you're on, man. I don't know what you're on with this comment.
What is it?
You see that comment?
Firm was what?
I don't know what he was on, man.
Bro,
I said, boy, that escalated quickly.
bro, what?
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Please don't ever comment anything like that on one of my reviews.
He does weird stuff. I don't even know why we didn't watch the trailer first. But anyway, that's The Firm. It's a slow burn and it has some weird stuff, but it is very entertaining. If you can get behind the slowness, I think it's a good movie to recommend. But it's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody. Do you have anything to say, Snellinator, before we close out?
No.
Do you have any reviews coming in the works?
Maybe.
Go ahead.
If anybody knows about The Chosen, I'm probably gonna review it. I'm not fully sure about it yet or not because I don't know if I want to wait until after season 6 comes out or if once I just finish season 5.
You can always update it after season 6
True.
comes out. I of course still have that. I of course still have the Daniel Boone and that The Men Who Built America review coming, but I still of course have that review coming. I have, which I'm actually gonna put up on screen now. So the Daniel Boone, this is the first part. I'm doing a breakdown of everybody. I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put it in the water cooler as well. I just needed to put it on Twitter, that way I can give people a sneak peek. But I have 2 album reviews coming out. I'm gonna review Ella Langley's new album. I'm also gonna review. Shut up. You're just
Bro,
gay.
I'm sorry, I can't stand Ella Langley.
You're gay, that's why.
I'm
but I'm
literally, you know what, we're not gonna go there.
I'm gonna review her new album, and then I also have a review of The Freshman, the one with Ferris Bueller. I have a review of Pitch Perfect coming out. I have a review of Just One of the Guys, that 80s movie. I have one of those. I have that coming out. I actually have a lot of stuff. I'm really, really backed up at the moment. And then also The Count of Monte Cristo. I forget which version it was. I think it was the one from like 2000. I think it came out in 2003 because there's a bunch of different versions. But I'm way behind. But that's all from us, I reckon. We'll see y'all next week with the next episode. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. It's gonna be another retroactive episode. I'm not sure which movie, but we'll see y'all next week. Take it easy.